Rangers have reduced rhino poaching by simply gunning down poachers.
If you want to go hear more about that, go watch the video I just stitched. It's great, but I have one little nitpick. So I mean absolutely no shade, no hate towards the original creator that I'm stitching. Her video is fantastic, 10 out of 10. But she starts the video by saying poachers, which is correct. Poachers are the ones going after these rhinos, and I'm very happy that poachers are being poached. The problem is she switches from saying poachers to trophy hunters, and these things just are not the same thing. So today I want to cover the difference between a poacher, a trophy hunter, and a sustenance hunter, because a lot of people say that they're okay with hunting if you're eating the meat, they're not okay if you're a trophy hunter, and that's where the likening a trophy hunter to a poacher comes into play. So I think if we differentiate between what is what, it'll help people understand why these are not comparable. So poaching is when you're illegally taking in animals. So a lot of people think about hunting, but poaching can also take other forms. Poaching wild plants is very much a thing, especially really cool succulents and such are being poached to the point where it's getting like, oh shoot, this is going to go extinct if we don't stop this poaching because people want them as houseplants. So please mind your sourcing. But poaching can also come in the form of taking wildlife out of the wild to get into the exotic pet trade. Or for other uses. I don't know what else you'd be using them for, but the exotic pet trade is a big one. So you could be unaliving the animals, you could be keeping them as pets. It also applies to plants. Poaching is an unapproved form of take, so these animals aren't being accounted for properly. It's not part of what's expected to be lost in that ecosystem. It's how we start losing species. So how is this different from trophy hunting? I mean, people are taking these rhinos' lives so they can take their horns, whether it's for show or for medicine. How is that different than like hunting a really big deer just so you can have that nice rack of antlers or a nice head mount on your wall? For starters, you're doing it legally, so you're paying for that animal. So when it comes to a rare species, like the rhino, for example, they're selecting a very specific animal for you to go after. I think that Adam Ruins Everything kind of covered this in one of his videos. I know that people do and don't like Adam Ruins Everything, but he does cover that topic pretty well. In the case of a more common animal, like say a deer, they're going to be taking the animals that are the big, impressive bucks. So they're not going after the young animals, they're not going after the weak animals, they're going after these matured animals who have probably already contributed to the ecosystem, to the continuation of life, if you're catching my drift. And they can be safely removed from the gene pool at this part because they've already made their contribution. It's really awesome that they're these really big animals. But their loss ultimately is the cycle of life. Now, when compared to a sustenance hunter, the difference is the trophy hunter isn't just hunting to fill their fridge. So again, they might pass on a lot of animals because it's not the one. So you might see this as, oh, that's so wasteful, but just because they're aiming for that big trophy or that specific body part or whatever it is that they're looking for, I'm not a hunter, I don't get it. It doesn't mean that everything else is being wasted. I might have a bit of a bias because I do know at least 2 people who trophy hunt, but both of them still eat their kills. One of them specifically does travel overseas to do their hunting because big African wild game, I don't see the draw, but they do. And they actually donate their meat to a local village or to the people who are helping them do the hunt. Now, a sustenance hunter is hunting because they need food. They want to fill their fridge. They might go after the younger animals. They might be going after the female animals who a trophy hunter would normally pass on. They don't care so much about that big, impressive rack. If they get it, cool, but the sustenance hunters that I've met actually prefer the younger, smaller animals because they taste better. So for both trophy hunting and sustenance hunting, money is going back into conservation when people are doing these activities, and possibly the local economies as well where these hunts are being performed. People really hate this, but it is funding conservation. If you'd like to learn more, look into things like the Duck Stamp Act, look into how state parks here in the US were originally formed. Basically, those tags, the ammo that they're paying for, any other special licenses, that money does go back into helping preserve wildlife and habitat. So I personally would love to see it if like camping gear or something else was more taxed and we would switch our revenue there, especially as hunting is on the decline. But people don't want to pay more money for things. And I don't blame them. I mean, have you seen how much everything costs these days? So yeah, you don't have to like trophy hunting, you don't even have to like sustenance hunting, you don't have to like any hunting, but please don't get it mixed up with poaching. Poaching does not contribute anything. It is only needlessly taking animals, whereas legal hunting not only is putting money back towards conservation, but it's also planned take. So these are animals that we have calculated, well, scientists have calculated that the ecosystem can afford to lose, or sometimes it's even specific targeted animals who have either no more contribution to give back to the preservation of their species, or they are problem animals who are doing more harm than good for the conservation status of their species. We do live in the unfortunate reality where money is very much an incentive to do things, so money going towards hunting is what's going to protect animals, and I hate that it has to be profitable for people to care, but that is the world we live in. With that said, let's keep poaching the poachers. I genuinely love this approach.